Everybody, this is going to be a video review setup of the keychain remote garage door opener Firefly 300 megahertz. This only works on the older systems that has 10 dip switches. I'm going to show you that in a minute. This is sold by Firefly. This is the older version that I have. This is the newer version. So let's talk about the older version for a minute. When I first bought this, it was awesome. Check out the reviews online. I did a review on this when I bought it. A lot of reviews seem to have the same thoughts, same comments. This thing works out really good when you first buy it. And after a while, for me, the switch over here, well, you can see it. I just did it. I barely touched it. Look at this. So your ball ends up in the wrong place. You go and you press this thing. You go and you press it, maybe you have it on an angle, and this thing's out of the way, and now you got to go in there and adjust it and slide it over. So that's a very cheap design. Maybe that's why, hopefully they upgraded it to this newer one. So this is a piece of garbage as far as that's concerned. The other problem is that after a while, you start pressing on this thing, and the switch does not make contact. You'll see a lot of complaints online about that. And that's the same thing for me. I used to just lightly tap this thing and it worked. Now I have to get right in front and I got to wiggle around and press, and then I get contact with the switch. I'm going to open this thing up. The other complaint that a lot of people have, I didn't have that problem, but a lot of people have, is that the dip switches do not stay in place from on to off, either in the off position or the on position. They'll slide around. And when they slide around, the code doesn't work the right way, and after a couple years, or a year, or however long, you end up throwing this in the garbage. This is the new one. Let's compare the size. Black looks a little bit easier on the eyes than the gray, which really stands out. The case is about the same. We have the switch feels a lot. Listen to the difference. Here we go with the cheapy one. And hear that little sound? That's how you know the switch is falling apart. You hear this, it's going to make more of the click. And it's not wobbling around. They made this bigger, and it comes out of the hole better. And when it comes out of the hole better, you know it's going to be good. This thing was recessed in the hole, so it can flop around like that. The nice thing about this is this little cheapy thing that didn't cost me hardly any money lasted for a couple years, so I got my money's worth out of that. I'm not complaining. I definitely got a good deal out of this thing. This thing's incredible. When I first bought it and I set it up, I was able to stand a couple 100 feet from the gate and maybe even further and press this button and the gate would open, whereas some of the big remotes didn't work. Now I have to be right on top of the gate for this thing to work. So this thing has seen its time, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this thing up. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to test it out. And I'm going to come back in here and let you know what I think when I finish off my video. I will leave a link in the video description if you want to click on this. It's an Amazon affiliate link. If you click on it, I'll get a few cents when you put your order in. If you don't want to buy this, but you want to help out my channel before you put in your Amazon orders, if you click on the link, any order, if you click on the link, it will take you to Amazon. It will help me out. Please thumbs up, share, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Let's open this thing up. We're going to have to open up both of them so I can show you the difference. Both of them have a very small Phillips screw, and I like that better than the ones where you have to go in there and put a quarter or a screwdriver in there and pry it, and then it ends up marring the finish and it looks terrible. So this is kind of a hassle, but you don't have to change the batteries that often. I don't even remember what kind of battery is in here. I don't know if it's a 12 volt. I think it is. The 12 volt, if it's the round 12 volt, you have to buy them on Amazon, or you got to go to the store. They last for years. They are probably $2 or $3, $4, but they last a long time. So I'll be back. This is the new one. We have the 12 volt battery, and on this one it does have that little gap on the edge that you have to pry it open, and the older one doesn't. Dip switches, looks pretty much the same. Comparing it to the older one, and it looks exactly the same except for the switch. And we can see how the switch is mounted in there, and I'm going to show you the older one in a minute. So this is exactly the LED one. This is exactly the same board. This shows that it was made maybe April 20th The one I'm looking at shows 6/16. So this was made April of 2020, and the one that I have over here, the other one was made in June of 2016. The exact same circuit board. You got the little diodes over there, the coil, the LED. And we have this nice filthy thing over here. I don't want you to see my code, not that you would need it or know, but the battery's absolutely filthy. We can see the switch over here that I had to work on before because the whole thing broke. I had to glue it. See how I had to glue the thing? And now my balls are floating around in here. What is this? Is this a dust ball? It's a dust ball. So I've got a little dust ball in my thing. I had to glue this thing down because I didn't want to throw this out after a short amount of time. A really bad design. And it looks like they fixed it up on the newer one. We have this same thing over there. We have the LED and the coil and the battery and the two diodes over there. So it's the exact same circuit board. It looks like it's a nicer case and a better switch design. So I'm going to take it outside now, test it out, and I'll let you know what I think. Remember, these only work on 300 megahertz. I believe there is also a 301 and a 320 or 30. I think this only works on the 300 megahertz systems, and the system has to have a 10 dip switch in it. So if you don't have that, then this probably will not work. Just so you know, in case you don't know, because you never know, is that when you open this thing up to set your code, make sure that you remove that little paper that is between the battery and the clip. They put that in there so the battery doesn't go dead while this is in storage or being shipped out. Remove that little cardboard piece and everything should work out. Here we have the old one, and look at that. This is where the problem is. That's why everything slides around. That piece should be held on there to stop your ball from moving left and right. But if it's not held on there, your ball's gonna move all over the place. And the glue, the epoxy that I put on there is falling apart. It's worn off, and that is why this needs to go in the garbage. Last step, insert the screwdriver into your head. Make sure it is not cross-threaded. Back it off a little bit. There it is. Now it's going to turn in. If you force it, it's going to go in the wrong way. Tighten it down just enough. Don't torque it. You don't want to break the screw head or ruin the plastic. It's done. That's the little gap. Where's the gap that I was showing you? Over there. Hey people, there it is on my belt loop. The switch is a lot better. The remote works like the older one used to. This thing worked at a couple hundred feet away easily. It even worked when I was walking in the street between the garage and a car. So it does have power. It's not a massively powerful thing like the other remotes that you keep in a car. This thing's really nice. The price is incredible. It is a lot better. If you have the older one, I would totally upgrade even if you don't need to. As I said, this rinky-dinky switch design is just terrible, and the newer one is awesome. So make sure you click on that link and buy one of these things. You'll be a lot happier. I don't know why I held on to this thing for so long, but if the switch is not working, the switch, when you go in there and press it, it kind of works. The whole problem is the design of this little button. It's a nightmare.